Welcome to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten.
Hi, I'm Wendy. After I graduated with my master's in wellness management, I started my own company, T2 Coaching, Health, Fitness, and Sport.
And I'm Kirsten, an athlete, vegan, life coach, and girl mom, running a business focused on helping others create a life they love.
We are here to explore all things wellness to help you become the person you've always wanted to be.
So if that's why you're here, open your ears and your mind as we tackle the world of wellness together. Hey, everybody. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Kirsten. How are you?
I'm doing good today. How are you?
Good.
Good. What's going on with you right now?
Nothing new.
Nothing new? Same old, same old? What's your wellness win?
I talked about this a lot, but I'm officially, without a doubt, not the youth swim coach anymore.
Okay. Do they have a new coach now?
Yeah. It was just a lot of kind of just confusions, and we're fine. And I'm just the master's coach. I've been trying to balance both because, I'm still like these kids coach, whether they like it or not, but I was trying to coach them and masters at the same time, and it wasn't the best situation for either group. And finally we have our bronze coach. We actually had 2 bronze coaches that we didn't need to at all. And so one of them is stepping up to be head coach, and she's going to do, we were going to combine silver, gold, and bronze to one practice. And I thought we were going to have 2 coaches so they could split it.
Right.
But for some reason that didn't work out. It should have. And then, the one bronze coach said, fine, I'll leave. But then he wanted to come back. So anyways, one of the bronze coach said, I want to do it. I want to be the head coach. And I'm like, here you go.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of less anxiety and stress right now. That's
right.
Finally official. Even though it's been a month, like March 22nd, I'm like, I want to make the transition now. Or sorry, February 22nd was when I said I'm ready to transition, and I thought I was done, but then I wasn't.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that, because I was talking to one of my athletes I coached this morning, and we were talking about, she was like, I had this drama at work and I've been so tired, and the drama doesn't even include me, but I was trying to decide, should I say something? And so she hadn't been sleeping well. And I was like, yeah, it's called decision fatigue. And she was like, oh, I've never heard of that. And I'm like, yeah, when you're in a place where either you're in limbo, or you're trying to make a decision, or you're half in, half out of something, it's exhausting. Even deciding to be in a less advantageous position is less strain than not knowing where you are. So when you make those decisions, like you had made the decision, but then you kind of jump back in, and then you're half in, half out. And that's exhausting. It takes a lot of energy, emotional energy, mental energy. And then just knowing okay, I'm 100% done. It's like a weight is lifted, and all of a sudden you have all this extra energy, and you can use that toward what you're working for in the future, instead of making all these decisions in the present.
Right.
So yay, that's exciting. So now you're going full force with adults and triathlon, indoor tries and stuff like that.
Right.
Yay. Congrats.
Thank you. And thank you.
My wellness win, we always do this, right? We ask each other our wellness win, what we're excited about, what we're most excited about for the upcoming week. And I know we ask each other, and I always never think of mine. I mean, so, throughout the week, I'm always like, oh yeah, what a wellness win. And then when we get here, I'm like, I don't know. But I think overall, I feel like in my life, I'm more organized and caught up. Caught up is in quotes, because I feel like, we've talked about this before, where we never really get all the things done we want to get done in life in general. I think people are always like, oh, I need to do this or this or this. We've talked about our to-do lists a lot, but I feel more caught up in life than I have for as long as I can remember. Like every night I've been putting the dishes in the dishwasher, and I've never done that before. And right now I'm washing my bedding, and usually if I need to wash bedding, I have to take out my clean clothes and put them in a pile to get my bedding running through. But I actually already folded the clothes from the dryer. So when I'm washing my bedding, it's just going to go into the like, I don't know, just little things like that I always feel like I'm just struggling with staying up on things. I feel a little more caught up and organized than I have in, I don't know, 53 years, which is
That's
huge.
amazing.
I know. So I say wellness win.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. We have an awesome topic, you guys. We kind of talked about it a little bit last week when we were signing off, because I was teaching one of my classes last week, and this lady was like, after class, she's like, wow, you are really a great instructor. And I haven't really counted the numbers. I've been teaching fitness in a long time. And I go, well, yeah, I've been teaching classes since 1990. And then when I did the math, I was like, oh my gosh, that makes me so old. I've been teaching fitness classes for 37 years or 36 years because it's 2026. So I was like, oh my gosh, I've been a fitness instructor for 37 years and 36 years. So I was thinking, oh, wow, I better be good at this. I've been doing it for over half my life. And it kind of got me thinking, because Wendy has said this so many times before. I has said this about her swimming, how people are like, oh, Wendy, gosh, I can watch you swim all day long. You are such a great swimmer. She's been swimming competitively since she was 4 years old. And she's in her early 50s now. Caught up to me. You're 53 now?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you totally caught up to me. Now we're both 53. So she's been swimming for almost 50 years. So I would sure hope she's a good swimmer after 50 years. So we kind of wanted to talk about this because I think a lot of people out there, number one, they get frustrated when they're not good at something right away. And that could be something physical, mental, emotional, a new skill, a new career, mothering, parenting, so many relationships, a new relationship. Me right now with the finances. And it gets really frustrating when you're not good at something right away. But nobody is good at something new right away. It takes time and time and time to practice, develop the skills, develop the muscle memory in any area of our lives. And so not to get frustrated with ourselves, give ourselves some grace, give ourselves time to get better and practice and fail and have some successes before we become really good at something. So I think it's a really important topic to talk about and bring up, especially in mine and Wendy's field of health and fitness, because I have people all the time and they're like, oh, I took out sugar, I took out alcohol, and I haven't even lost a pound. And I'm like, oh my gosh, congrats. Like, that's great. How long have you been doing that? And they're like, 3 days. And then, so we've all heard that. So Wendy, what are your thoughts? I'd love to hear some personal experiences that don't necessarily, we already know you're a great swimmer because you've been doing it your whole life, but maybe some other things that you were horrible at first and now you're really good at in your life. And then maybe some things that will help other people feel like they're on the right path instead of struggling and getting frustrated and quitting before you become good at something.
Well, what sparked this topic for me just most recently is, again, I started coaching a master swim group I have a lot of beginner adults. And two of them kind of came to me and they're like, I still don't feel smooth in the water, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, you've been swimming for 2 to 3 weeks and you took 6 months off. It doesn't happen overnight. Like, I was surprised with the expectation just because you started master swimming twice a week, that you would assume you would be like, you know, so much faster than you are. And something with swimming, it takes so much effort to make small gains compared to other sports such as running or cycling. And so that's just the nature of the sport. Back in the day, people would tell me in my sport, "You're so talented as a swimmer." I'm like, it has nothing to do with talent. I trained so high volume when I was a young kid, and my volume probably was cut in half actually when I went to college. But it was the volume of training, the lack of injuries. I never got injured, and the desire and the passion I had to train created the swimmer that I am today, as well as the multi-sport athlete I am today. How I define talent, I always use this example of one of my college swimmers. She could party all night, drink so much, smoke packs of cigarettes, and she was super fast. She was a butterflyer and an IMer. And I'm like, gosh, she has talent, meaning she didn't have to put much time in the water to excel in her sport. And she could drink and smoke and still perform really well. To me, that's talent. Someone who picks up on something, a sport or an activity or a skill, without putting much time and effort into it, but they pick it up very quickly and they perform and they excel at it very quickly. That's my idea of talent. And so, like I don't ever, you asked me to give examples of something. I don't feel like anything I've ever done has been easy for me. I don't feel like I
Right.
picked up on anything like right away and performed well or excelled well in it. I've always had to put the time in, and it's never been a chore for me to put time in anything I want to do, because I tend to be someone who enjoys the process of whatever I put my mind to. If I'm not enjoying the process and if I stop doing something, it's not because I'm not good at it or bad at it. It's just because I'm not enjoying the process. So I'm going to stop doing it.
Right. It's interesting that something you said just reminded me. When I was in high school, my sister and I were a year apart. We went to the same high school, and she was a runner. Like, she went to college for running. She was top on the track, cross country and track team in high school. And I decided my senior year to try cross country. And I'd been a swimmer, and that was pretty much it in high school. And so I tried cross country. My sister, she was really like tall and skinny, and really like, she would eat crappy food because she was, a freshman and sophomore, junior. She would drink soda, eat crappy food. She would skip practice all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she would still go out, and she was in cross country. I don't know how it is now, but when we did it, there were 7 runners. There were 7 people at each race, and they score the top 5. So 7 people ran, and they score the top 5. And so she was always 1 or 2. Her and this other girl, they always switched back 1 and 2. And she like jacked off at training. She didn't I feel like she didn't even care about it. And then I joined my senior year. I like worked as hard as I could, and I wasn't even in the top 7. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I never went to a meet. And I showed up for every practice, and I like ran as hard as I could, and wasn't even in the top 7, didn't even compete at a single meet. And now, so that was a million years ago, right? In high school, I started running in my late 20s, a lot of hours, because training for Ironman, you just automatically run a lot of hours. And now my sister doesn't run at all. She stopped running after college because she ran track and got burned out. And she runs every once in a while for fun, like a 5K with her friends or a half marathon with her friends. But I am way, way faster than she could ever imagine being right now,
Mm-hmm.
because I did it for the last 20 years and she didn't. So she had that natural talent, but stopped doing it. So I had no talent, but I kept doing it. And so
Mm-hmm.
now, if her and I went out and raced, a 5K, I would beat her by 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, like smart, I hate to say hard work. I hate to say smart training. I like to say well designed training execution
Right.
is how you make progress in your sport. I hate when people say I trained hard or I trained smart because those are so, um, what does that really mean? It's
Right.
again,
Right.
that means it's smart and hard in the mind of the beholder. But I think, again, a well designed plan for training. And again, I'm always talking training because that's what I do. And that's my job is to coach a designed plan based on someone's current fitness, time available to train, strengths and weaknesses, and that person executes the plan or the program that they're following is going to lead to progress. And it just takes time. And if you're not enjoying the process, it does get more frustrating because you're not enjoying the process.
Right.
So of course you're going to be frustrated that you're not getting the results that you expect based on whatever you believe is what you expect. And we talked about that belief a couple podcasts ago is what you believe is kind of leads to what your expectations are going to be for something.
Right.
I remember just growing up in growing up elementary, junior high, I was always picked last. I was never good at sports except swimming because I started swimming at such a young age. I developed the skills and the enjoyment of it that I progressed. And it took years and years and years. But any other sport that we played in a school, like middle school or elementary school, I couldn't throw a ball, I couldn't kick a ball. And those were the main sports. I was always picked last. And that was really hard for me mentally because I was always the last person standing. No one wanted me on their team.
Right.
And, for whatever reason, maybe that drove me to be the world champion that I am because I want to
Show
prove
them.
them
You're
that
like,
don't pick me last anymore.
yeah. You're like, look at
But
me
it
now.
was not, I became a world champion in Ironman. It was my fifth or seventh Ironman back in 2008. It's not like it happened my first Ironman. If it happened my first Ironman, that would be more of you have talent if you're winning Ironman, your first one. But it took a lot of training, a lot of mistakes, a lot of illnesses, a lot of injuries. And again, back then we didn't have the coaching or the internet or the information. I just trained a lot and I raced because I trained a lot, like that's what I did. I enjoyed the training so much. I might as well do a race because I'm physically ready for it. Mentally, it took some time, but it's just, if you want to be good at something, you have to prepare for it physically and
Right.
mentally.
Yeah. It took me 10. I didn't qualify for Hawaii Ironman until my 10th Ironman. So talk about no talent at all. I trained a lot. Like I was putting the work in and following the plan, and I just didn't have it at all. I have no natural talent, and I was coming in. So for those of you who don't know, to qualify for the Ironman World Championships that Wendy was talking about, you have to be at the top of your age group. Like when I qualified, you had to be like top 2, top 3 in the biggest women's age group, top 1 in the smallest women's age groups. And I was getting like 35th place, 28th place. My first 10 Ironmans were all like maybe the top third of my age group, like top 30%, but that's not going to get you to qualify at all. So mine, again, there's this thing called the 10,000 hour rule. And it's kind of like they say, okay, you have to do something for about 10,000 hours to be a master. And that, and that's just an arbitrary number. It's just, they're saying like it takes you about 10 years to become a master of something. You have to practice over and over for 10 years to get good at something. And that was like right on track for me with qualifying for the Ironman, because I did my first Ironman in 2001 and I qualified in 2013. Mm-hmm. So it was literally 10 years of me training for an Ironman till I got it all dialed in and got it right physically, mentally, and emotionally. So
Mm-hmm.
that 10,000 hour rule, I'm doing jujitsu right now, and they say it takes the average black belt 10 years
Wow.
to become a black belt.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And some people do it more quickly. Like, Cora's coach, he like did jujitsu like 7 days a week, 2 to 3 times a day. So he progressed a little more quickly. But for the average person who does 2 to 3 times a week, does everything, it's 10 years. And that makes sense because it's a sport where you have to, like, it's just like swimming. It's skill based. It's practice the same skills over and over and over until they become part of what you just automatically do. And then once you have that muscle memory and that skill, then you can work on fine tuning your technique by becoming faster, by swimming longer, by choking somebody out in a jujitsu tournament, or, whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
it's, I completely believe in that 10,000 hours because all the things I'm good at, it's taken that much time to feel really good at something.
Mm-hmm.
So what else in your life? What about reading? Do you feel like
Well, I
since
was
you've
thinking
been,
that too. Like I was never a big reader at all. I remember in elementary school, my first grade teacher, Mrs. Dietz, would bribe me with like Hello Kitty toys and Snoopy toys. I don't know if those things are still around.
they are.
If
Yeah,
I read a
Hello
certain
Kitty
amount
is
of books.
still huge.
Yeah, so like I'd have to read books with my parents and they would have to like, document or tell her that I read so many books and then I'd get a toy. I was bored out of my mind reading. It just never really clicked. My mind was always in other places. Maybe that's part of, maybe that's like an ADD thing growing up, but I just didn't enjoy reading. And so I enjoyed getting toys. And so that worked for me. And then just, just kind of never really got in touch with reading again until last year. And again, in 2025, I had a goal because my husband set this goal of reading 25 books or 25. And they said, oh, cool, I'll join you, something we can do together. We would share the books we read. Sometimes we read the same books. He'd read one, I when he was done, etc. And then sometimes we just kind of went off our own and found our own theme. And so I'm kind of into it now. I have the 26 books for 2026. And during the month of March, my goal was to try to read 53 pages a day during the month of March. And so it just became more of a priority and I enjoy it more because I've been doing it more. I've been doing it more consistently. And I think that's how you get better at something, whether it's sport, reading, cleaning, organizing, budgeting, relationships, work, everything. When you get consistent at something that you want to do, it starts to become a habit. You start to enjoy it and you start getting better at it, whatever it is.
Right. That's exactly how I was with jujitsu because you guys remember me, my first, like, I'm not even exaggerating. The first like 6 to 9 months, maybe even 12 months, I cried more times than I didn't after class. Not crying in class like, oh, you hurt me, but crying after class like, I am such a loser. I cannot do this. It was so challenging for me mentally and emotionally.
I just thought of something, but go ahead.
Yeah. But now, like, it's been over a year. It's been almost a year and a half. And I'm starting to get better at it and understand it more. So as you get better at something and as you understand it and as you see progress, that's what makes you enjoy it more. And when you enjoy it more, you get better. And as you get better, you enjoy it more. And it's just an upward spiral. And then all of a sudden, if you stick with it and you're enjoying it and you're getting better, all of a sudden it becomes an easy thing in your life.
So two things that come to mind. I went to a gun range last year. Never shot a gun, and the noise And I cried. You reminded me that that's something I would be crying in there because I couldn't handle the noise, and we had headphones and we had all the equipment, and it was so intimidating to me. But that drove me to say, well, I want to get better at this. I'm not going to get better at this unless I keep going to the gun range. And so now it's just something that I really enjoy doing. It's actually, I'm surprised. I enjoy going to the gun range and shooting guns because I'm doing it more consistently and I'm getting better at it. I'm seeing that progress. So it makes me want to, it's a new skill that I've learned. It's like any new skill. You just have to like get over the intimidation, get over the fears by doing it, and you'll get better at it. Another thing I thought of is when it comes to like weight loss, it takes like 4 weeks when you change something, whether it's nutrition or exercise. When you change something, they say it takes like 4 weeks for your metabolism to do its thing. And then it takes another 4 weeks. So we're now on 8 weeks to maybe start to feel the effects of a new fueling or a new exercise program. And then it takes another 4 weeks. So now 12 weeks for you to notice some changes in your body composition if that's the goal.
Yeah.
And a lot of people quit those first 4 weeks because they don't give it enough time to get past those 4 weeks to start to feel it. They don't really realize it takes those 4 weeks for your body to like catch up and make the changes in metabolism to get back on track. And so, yeah, I mean, the data is out there on anything.
Yeah.
It just takes time.
I tell my athletes that are coming back from a long time off. I have 2 right now that are doing Boulder. It's in like 13 or 14 weeks. So it's kind of coming up, the Boulder 70.3, but they both took a big chunk of time off. And they're both like, oh, my running feels awful. I can't. And I'm like, it's been 2 or 3 weeks. Like, it's going to take you 6 weeks minimum to start feeling like you're getting back in the groove of your workout. I call because there's like base building and all these phases of training. I call those first 6 weeks back, I call them habit building.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're putting in the time, and I don't really care what their workouts look like. I mean, I don't want them to like hurt themselves and go all in, but it's mostly just about developing the habit of the strain on your body, putting time in your schedule for the next 6 weeks so that the next 6 weeks you can get specific and gear that training toward your race. So I think it's important to think about that in life.
And again, it's not just 6 weeks, it's 6 weeks of consistency.
Yes,
you can't just let the next 6 weeks go by and do something once a week.
Right.
It's 6 weeks of consistency. If 6 weeks and you're doing it 2-3, let's say you're doing it 2 or 3 times a week, reassess after 6 weeks. Maybe you have to change the load by doing another day a week. So then you go to 3 or 4 days a week. Maybe you have to change the duration. So either you change frequency, you change duration, or you change intensity. And again, that can apply to anything you're doing, not just training or exercise. And so again, the importance of keeping a journal or a log and keeping track of everything just depends on your goal and your why.
Yeah. And I think for more technique driven sports like shooting a gun, like jujitsu, like swimming, it's way better. And better, I'm saying like you're going to progress more quickly if you have more time in that sport. So I always tell my swimmers, I would rather have you get in 3 or 4 days a week for 15 minutes than to get in 1 day a week for an hour. So you're still putting that same amount of time in the water, but it's a lot different practicing your drills 4 times a week for 15 minutes than going 1 time a week for an hour. Even though it's the same amount of time, that exposure to doing that hard thing and that uncomfortable thing. If Wendy only shot, well, let's rewind, Wendy. Let's go back. I had no idea you were shooting guns.
I know. I was waiting for you to ask me that.
I'm like, wait, let's rewind back. Wendy that's her new sport, is shooting guns. I love that.
I know. It's one of those things that I'm like, what? I don't want to shoot a gun. But I'm like, oh, when are we going to the gun range? When are we going? I want to go shoot again. I want to go shoot again.
I feel like your gun shooting is my jujitsu.
Yeah.
That's why that was
Totally something new, totally a skill. I've taken some
totally different.
I've taken some private lessons. I've taken a shooting defense class. And so it's just something new, something different, something I've like never even thought about in my life doing,
Yeah.
but it's kind of fun.
Here we are in our 50s doing jujitsu and shooting guns.
Yeah.
So another category I was thinking of this whole concept in is in your career, because I've had a lot of people that they're like, oh, I just switched jobs and I suck at my job and I want to quit because it's so hard. I'm never going to be good at it. And it's the same exact concept that if you're at a job, even for 2 or 3 years, if it's your first time doing that specific job or in that type of field, then you have to give yourself some grace and give yourself those 10 years of experience before it feels really easy and that you're really good at it. So I think career is a great one to think about, because I think people think, oh, I went to school to be an accountant and my first job, I don't know what's going on.
Well, speaking of 10 years, I just want to backtrack. So let's go back to sport. When I started triathlon, I lived in Michigan and then I moved to Colorado. And my first mentor coach was my boss at the Fort Collins Club, Tony Dragon. And I had been a triathlete for maybe 3 years when he kind of started writing, paper and pencil training plans for me. And I asked him, I go, gosh, how do I become a quicker cyclist? And I had already been cycling, but I thought that was enough. And he goes, Wendy, it's going to take you 8 years to get cycling like. And I'm like, what? 8 years? And I've been in the sport for 34. But I remember after 8 years, I remember him telling me that. And it really felt like after 8 years, I started to make some gains and some progress because my legs were stronger. I understood how to train with varying intensities and progression and periodization and all that. And I remember like, oh my gosh, Tony was right. He told me it would take 8 years, and it did.
Yeah.
So, even back then in the 90s, when I had no idea what I was doing, I had some people that I trusted and believed in to give me good advice. And it was definitely solid advice.
Yeah. I hear people say experts say all the time that, your endurance doesn't start really kicking in for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you start a longer endurance sport like trail running or triathlon in your 30s, that you start peaking in your 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And I started in my late 20s, and mine definitely was a good, because I don't feel like I really started feeling good about my triathlon until my 40s.
Mm-hmm.
But now I feel like even when I have like haphazard training, which I've had this year, and I feel like I'm confident enough to go out and do well executing a race because I've had all those years of experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
So relationships, that's another area that, you have to, think about your first boyfriend or girlfriend that you guys had. Like, you didn't know what to do. You fought all the time about stupid stuff because you didn't have great communication. And then over time, dealing with people and getting to learn about things that make a relationship good, like communication and honesty and integrity and all that stuff, then you start becoming a better partner. And that could be a partner like a best friend. It could be a partner in business. It could be a partner, a spouse. But relationships, it's still like you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And so you can't expect to be good at something until you've practiced and practiced and failed and practiced and failed and learned and practiced over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And parenting, I don't know. I don't know if anyone ever, I'm sure those people with like 5 or 8 kids, they got it down. but every kid is different. So it's kind of a new journey with every child.
Well, and I just like I tell athletes, especially like an endurance sport, like finishing an Ironman or a 70.3, you don't know how prepared or not you are until you cross the finish line.
Right.
I would imagine as a parent, which I'm not, you don't know how successful you were with a parent until your kids
until you see how your kid turns out.
older. I was going to say graduates, but not even high school, graduates from college. I mean, I felt like, I learned a lot. I remember when I was 25, thinking back on my upbringing and stuff, and it kind of hit me. I learned a lot. So, you don't probably know as a parent how successful you were until your kids become your friends again.
And
Your
then you
kids are
can
your
chit
friends
chat
when they're
about
young,
it.
and then they hate you, and then they
Right.
go away, and then they always come back, and then you become best friends with your adult kid, and that's when you know if you were successful or not.
Right. So my mom always says, and she'll say this to her friend. She'll be like, "Oh, Kirsten was my perfect child." And then I never had to worry about her as a child. It's when she's an adult that, I had to worry about her. And I know she's kind of joking, but she says it all the time. And I'm like, what? I think I'm like an amazing adult. I'm just not a traditional, like my mom's, like my little sister, she's like the quote, like traditional child. She went to school for a teacher. She has a full-time teaching career her whole life. Like she got her master's. She's a teacher until she retires. She had 3 kids. They all went to college. She's been married since the beginning, since she was young. They go to church every Sunday. I don't know. It's just like what people think of as like maybe the like old school traditional family. And then I'm the exact opposite. I had a child in my 40s, not even with like out of wedlock or whatever. I've lived in my car before. I kind of like have 200 jobs to just make it so that I can do the things I want to do. But to me, that's my definition of success.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's just different than like back in the olden days, what other people's are. So it might look to someone who sees success as somebody with a full-time job and, all their kids go to college. They all end up, everyone's all perfect little lives. Mm-hmm. That might be somebody else's idea of success. Mm-hmm. So one thing I wanted to finish with, and then I'd love to hear your final words, how this can be applicable and help you guys out there is to write down the things you're good at, the things that come easier to you these days, the things that you enjoy, so that when you have something in your life that you're just starting or that feels hard or you get frustrated with, you can look at that list and see it's not me. I'm not a broken person who can't do anything right. It's that this thing is new to me and I haven't put in the time and I haven't put in the hours. And so it's more challenging for me right now. And if I decide it's important to me and I want to put in the hours and make it something I'm really good at, I can do that because look at my list of things I've done that for in the past. And I think that's a good way to center yourself or to give yourself grace when you come up against the frustration of things that you feel aren't working for you.
Yeah, I like that.
Anything else you wanted to add?
Well, I mean, when you said write out the list of things you're good at, I mean, to me, in my mind, nothing comes to mind. I've had success in my sport, but a lot of that has to do, I just enjoy doing it. And success to me is defined by my enjoyment of the process. And usually when you enjoy the process, for me, and I set goals, the outcome takes care of itself, but it's not about the outcome. And so like, trail running, I've been more of a trail runner the last, you know, probably the last, I'd say 5, 6, 7 years. I'm not as good as I want to be because I'm still not successful in my mind at running downhill. But I also know I have the experience to know that now when people crush me on the downhill, I always catch up to them on the uphill. And so because I have that experience and that process, I'm like, okay, I'm okay. I'm fine where I'm at right now. But yeah, I'd have to think about all the things I'm good at. I think I'm really good with time management. I think because I've been a swimmer my whole life, or I grew up a swimmer and I swam through college, and I have to really when you're a collegiate athlete, even a high school athlete like I was, you just really have to nail down time management. And so I think I'm very successful with time management.
Right.
I think I'm very successful with productivity as defined by myself. We talked about that in another podcast, and I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, and you always, we've talked about this. You always pointed out good is very subjective. Like what's good, what's bad. But you just saying I can crush them on the uphill, put that on your list. You're good at the uphills.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something like if you're confident about a skill you have, to me, that means you're quote good at it.
And you know why I'm good at uphill? Because when I started trail running, again, this is a tip when I started running for Ironman, not necessarily trail running, Tony Dragon would tell me, this is back in Fort Collins, in my training plan, go run the foothills. Don't walk uphill. Never walk an uphill. Again, so I trusted him. I always kept it in my mind, never walk an uphill unless you're sick or injured, or unless you're trail running. Trail running is a little bit different than road running. And the fact that athletes in general dislike hills, especially beginner athletes, I'm like, I'm going to become the expert at hills because no one else is. And I tell myself and my athletes, become the expert training in windy conditions, riding and running uphill and heat, and you will dominate.
Yeah.
I'm
the same with hills.
I don't have talent. I had to work on hills. I had to work on my mindset for training in the heat and training in the wind and training on hilly courses. But my motivation was no one else is doing that, so I'm going to.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way. So I say that all the time. I'm like, I always pick the hilly courses. So like my Ironman I'm doing in, my half Ironman I'm doing in July, the new course in New Mexico, it's supposed to be really hilly. I'm like, cool, I'm in. My favorite 2 courses, St. George, hills, Wildlife Loop, hills. And I'm the same way. I just decided one day, I think it's because I'm a high cadence rider and a high cadence runner. And so to me, that kind of made hills a little easier for me. So then I decided my natural cadence does well with hills. So I'm going to become someone who loves hills. And I did the same thing. I just decided that. And I think when we've talked about this on podcasts, what you say you are, you are. Mm-hmm. What you tell yourself you are, you are. So I'm always like, I love hills. I love hills. I'm so good on hills. I do better on hills. And guess what? It's hills.
It's so important, whether you think you can or think you can't. You're right.
You're right. You're right. You're right. Did you have a listener question, Wendy?
I do not.
So I don't have a listener question. Well, I have one, but what I wanted to discuss for a couple minutes, somebody had sent me this study that was done. I should have written it down because I'm going to get it all wrong. But you guys already know, like Wendy and I, we just come from our own opinion, what we remember in our brains. We're not scientists. But it was a study done at one of the major universities, and it was like 50,000 people they tested. And it was a study that proved that if whatever your running, your all out mile time is at the age of 50 determines a natural potential age where you're going to live to, like it determines your longevity. And so what they showed is that at 50 years old, as a man, if you can run a sub 8 mile, and this is you guys just who are hanging out on the couch or like, you're like, I can't do that kind of pace for my 5K. It's not, it's your like all out mile, give it all you got for a full mile and then fall down on the ground. So for men, and this is, you do your mile time at age 50. So if you're over, you're going to have to just try now. If you can run a sub 8-minute mile as a man, 50-year-old, or a sub 9-minute mile as a woman, 50 years old, you're naturally, this doesn't include if you get hit by a car or something, your natural longevity, you're going to live minimum to be 85. And then if your mile time for a man is over 12 minutes for a man or over 13 minutes for a woman, you probably won't, because of health. That it's a determinant of your overall health. And so I thought about this for a little bit when I read it, and I was like, it checks out, because when I look at my Whoop, that's my wearable I use, and it gives you a Whoop age based on your heart rate variability, your resting heart rate, your VO2 max, how much strength training you do, what your muscle mass is, compare your lean body mass. It takes all these things into consideration, and it gives you your, they call it a Whoop age, and it's your age determined by your physiological factors that it's measuring. And when it gives me my Whoop age and it updates, my number one reason why my Whoop age is so low is my, there's three, but the number one is my max heart rate. Because I can get, my max heart rate gets up so high when I'm racing in a run. Number two is my VO2 max, which is correlated to that. And then number three is my resting heart rate, which is also a health marker, and it correlates with that. So it's telling me that because I can get my heart rate up so high and hold it there, then I'm overall healthier, and my body is at a younger age than it really is. So when you do the faster mile for the man and the woman at age 50, you can probably run faster because you can sustain a higher heart rate for a longer period of time than the average person. So I feel like it seems like a pretty legit study. What are your thoughts, Wendy?
I got no comment because I don't know anything about it.
So I was just comparing it to my Whoop.
My initial thought is, okay, what if I, at age 49, I have double knee replacement?
This is like for just your normal like situation.
Okay, yeah, but I can't comment because I've never heard of it. I have no idea, other than I'm interested in learning more.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't know the specifics of the study. That was just the outcome of the study. So I don't know like how legit it is. It just made me think about what factors play into longevity. Since longevity is important to me now that I have a 7-year-old. Mm-hmm. I used to not care about longevity at all. And we've talked about that's why my sleep consistency is so much more important to me than it used to be, because I want to see what Cora's like when she's 50. Mm-hmm. So that means I have to be 95 to see Cora turn 50.
Right.
So that longevity just became really important to me. So what are you most excited about this upcoming week?
Getting together with my family for Easter.
Oh.
I'm not a big holiday person, but holidays, because I've moved to Georgia to live closer to family, holidays are, we tend to get together, and Easter's coming up. So that's one thing that, I'm going to get to see my family. I see my mom all the time, but I don't see my sister and my niece, and I have a very small family. And sometimes my sister who lives in New Jersey comes out and visits us during a holiday weekend.
Do you guys do any, do you have an Easter tradition, or it's just an excuse to get together?
I think an Easter was always my mom my mom's house. When my mom and dad lived at a different location, it was always like we always got together at my mom's house on Easter growing up and kind of as adults. And so I think that that's the tradition is no matter what the holiday, Easter's always a get together. We don't always get together on Christmas and Christmas Eve and New Year's and all that because my niece will travel to Texas to see her dad. And my other sister can't fly out during those times. It's just different weather and stuff like that. But Easter is like a tradition to be with my mom. And so when my mom moved to Holbrook, which is an independent living, which is where I'm at right now, we would do like Holbrook had like this brunch. And so that became, we're like, well, let's just meet mom at her place. But now we just get together, and that's the only tradition is getting together on Easter.
Yeah, I love that.
It doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah, just being together, being with family. I love it. I am most excited about when we get back from California. I'm selling my car. I have kind of everything lined up. Like I have my appointment to get it detailed. I have the amount that I'm asking for it. I have some other cars potentially I'm going to buy. So I'm selling my car, buying a cheaper car. And with the difference, I am fully funding my emergency fund. So within the next couple weeks, I will, if all goes well, I will have my fully funded emergency fund, and then I can start working on my next financial goal.
That's congratulations.
Yay. So it's been a really anxiety producing thing because I don't know anything about cars. I'm so nervous to like sell mine, go like to somebody who I don't know with cash, like get that car checked out. Like I don't know anything about this whole but I've only gone to dealerships to buy and trade in cars. I've never sold a car. I've never done anything. So I'm learning a lot. It's mostly just, me and Chat GPT trying to figure out how this whole thing works. But
Nice.
I'm getting everything lined up. I'm getting my title in my name next week. I have a lot of appointments lined up to make it all happen within the next 2 weeks.
Fantastic.
So yay. Awesome. All right, you guys. Well, I hope you are having an amazing day. Happy Easter for those of you who are Easter celebrators. And it's good to see you, Wendy.
Good to see you too. Make it a great day.
Yeah. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten. If you want to learn more about us or anything we talked about today, check out the links in our show notes. We would love to know what you think of our podcast and what you want more of. So drop us a comment, send us a message, and help us out by leaving us a rating and a review. And don't forget to let us know your wellness win for this week. Thanks for listening. Make it a great day.